Hello and welcome to another episode of B.A.M. Sports and Entertainment. That's Boris and Matt, Sports Entertainment. We're your hosts. I'm Boris, and as always, I am joined by Matt.
Bonjour! How's everybody doing out there? We hope you are doing well. Boris, another sticky hot one in Toronto. But you know what else is hot and sticky? The wrestling business, buddy.
Yep. It surely is. It really is. The wrestling business is, it's doing something right now. Yeah, it's so bipolar, and we're getting the peaks and the highs and the lows, right? Like at the peaks and the valleys. It's been very interesting, and I think we'll get into that in the second half of the show, because on this week's B.A.M. Sports and Entertainment, we're going to be talking about the MLB and Bartsool Sports. Is this a good idea? Is this good for business? Is this good PR? We're going to be talking about some local Jays news. We are going to be talking about the Olympics. We're going to be talking about Lionel Messi. And then we are going to move into the wrestling section of the show. We are going to be talking about Ring of Honor and a lot of NWA. And as a bonus, we're going to be chatting some quick dynamite thoughts.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, lots happening in the wrestling business, but like you said, lots happening in sports as well. I don't know. Where do you want to start?
Man, well, I think we should get the ball rolling. Matt, how are you?
Well, thank you for asking, friend. Doing well, not too much of an eventful day. Just took care of some things around the house, but, life is good. Hanging in there, slugging away. Got my next few things planned on the schedule, and the balls are rolling, buddy. We're just continuing forward momentum, man.
All the balls in the air. All the balls in the air.
So, yes, juggling balls.
All
these
sweaty
podcasts,
balls.
like so many juggling balls.
Yep.
Too, I suppose.
Exactly. That's awesome, man. Yeah, things are going well on my end as well. Was able to see the nephews today. That was a lot of fun.
Nice.
My 5-year-old nephew has so much attitude. So I'm staying at my parents' right now because of reasons. And, anyways, I'm at my parents' right now. And what's it called? So if we are having some audio issues, I am sorry, because we are doing this over Skype. We will be doing these live every single week moving forward, hopefully. But today we are on Skype. Anyways, so my littlest nephew, the 5-year-old, he wanted to sleep over. He always tries to outsmart everyone and to stay over at my mom's place. And, when he doesn't get his way, he has a tantrum. Today, my brother not literally, I should say, he figuratively put me under the bus, blamed me for him not being able to stay over, and boy, oh boy, did the 5-year-old get pissed off. He didn't even want to look at me, didn't say bye. When I asked for a hug, he's like, no, not today, and turned around and just left.
Oh, man, little kid guilt, the strongest and harshest form of guilt. Boris,
Yep.
Oh, that sucks, bud.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes you gotta bite the bullet, though. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you are uncle and not Papa Bear, and he's got to live with the kid.
Exactly.
Gotta jump on that grenade. That's good brothering. More than anything, that's you being a good brother.
Yeah, but it's funny. Trust me, I've jumped on plenty of grenades in my lifetime, my friend.
Gotta be done, man. Gotta be done. That's part of being a brother, part of being in a familia.
Yep. Yeah. One day I need to tell you the story of when I hung out with Ron Sexsmith's daughter.
Please do. Is that an off-air story?
That's it's a we're gonna tease this story for a little while. Get the listens in, right, especially on the first half where we get everybody. So before we get to business, I want to thank everyone for listening. The Sports Digest seems to be a thing, Matt. People like our sports talk, and understandably so. You probably don't want to listen to the wrestling chatter. And we were able to really promote the first half of the show to our wider friends groups and whatnot, right? So I think we are going to be moving forward with that. I'm going to be taking these episodes, the full B.A.M episode. You'll be able to find that on the B.A.M feed and the SNME Radio Patreon feed, and then the Sports Digest feed. You should be able to find that on B.A.M. So, it might be getting a little too many downloads for some people, but other people, they just want to listen to the sports chatter. Some people want to listen to everything, where we are all about choice here in B.A.M. On B.A.M.
Right on, man. Yeah, no, I like the idea of splitting them up if people enjoyed it. Absolutely. Yeah, we're just trying to find our audience right now and see what works for everyone. So yeah, let's try that for now. And if it becomes too much with the downloads, we'll figure that out. But I like it. Yep. Speaking of those sports things, homie.
Well, speaking of those sports things, let's promote something for Sunday night's main event and Jason Agnew, and that is his awesome get. Today, he was able to interview none other than wrestling and MMA star CM Punk.
Movie star, comic book writer, big time star, crossover appeal. This CM Punk, this Phil Brooks, we might be onto something here.
Yep. This kid's got moxie.
No, but obviously it's an exciting time. It seems as though CM Punk might possibly, if you read the tea leaves, be coming back to wrestling, Boris. And obviously and arguably that's an exciting thing. It's an exciting time for wrestling fans. CM Punk, one of the greats, an incredible promo, incredible mind for wrestling. I think he's going to be just fine in AEW. I can't wait to see what he does, if that's where he's going, of course. And very, very exciting, man. It was, like you said, great get by Agnew. Dang, that was a surprise in the old social media feed to see that just come up on my Twitter. I was like, whoa.
Yep. So that's awesome. For those of you who want to listen to it, just go to snmeradio.com. You'll be able to listen to the full interview. Please listen to it. It's a really good. It's short, to the point, and there's so much there's so much between the line talk. I loved it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to read between the lines a little bit, but of course, CM Punk's a very clever guy, and yeah, man, it was a nice and easy listen. 12 minutes, not bad at all.
Yep. All right, so let's talk about sports, and the one story that I want to talk about, just because, in my opinion, the PR on this will be very interesting, and that's MLB, Bartsool Sports. They may or may not be in talks to broadcast games.
Yeah. So what are your personal feelings about Barstool Sports without just immediately getting us in trouble? I mean,
so
you know what I mean? What do you...
For me, I call Barstool Sports Bro-stool Sports. It for me, it's just, I don't know. It's not the best place to have stuff. I think that it's a bunch of bros doing stuff, whether it be good or bad. There are some stuff on Barstool that I do like. There's some stuff that Barstool that I just cannot stand, but that's media now, right? This is the culture we live in. It's all about shock value for some, cancel culture for some, and then it's those anti-cancel culture people who want to go the other extreme, right? So, it's, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure, because when you think of the MLB, you're thinking that they're talking to the ESPNs of the world, the Foxes of the world, even the YouTubes and Facebooks of the world. So clearly, right now MLB is in a state of mind where they want to get their product out there on the national level.
To a younger audience, to a different audience too, and I respect the attempt. But like you said, man, Barstool is kind of like bro. That's being nice in a lot of ways. To me, it's Barstool is the sports version of a Maddox or Tucker. What is it? Tucker Max was those old style of bro humor in the early to mid 2000s, which were really popular. That's kind of where Barstool lives in my mind, right? So I don't know. I think it's MLB's punching down with this one pretty severely. It feels like, and I think the reaction is such online. Not that obviously there's outrage mobs and you can't always take it too seriously, but I do think in this case, man, I don't know, you know what I mean? There are some pretty big skeletons in that Barstool closet.
Yeah. Here's the thing though, and we need to remember this, Matt, and it's kind of funny that I'm going to say this. We're not spring chickens anymore, right?
No, sir.
we're not in our early 20s, late teens. Like, so there's certain stuff that we've grown out of in terms of our comedy and comedic likings and whatnot. And one thing that MLB is where they are severely hurting is the 18 to 49 demo. So I feel like their talks with Barstool are really trying to gear up and improve their 18 to 49 demo. I think that's what they're essentially trying to do. They're trying to get the young people back into baseball.
Guaranteed, 100% agree. But I think it's a misguided attempt, personally. I think it's going to be like more harm than good if they actually go through with it. And I think the reaction kind of proves that. It's not just like your regular we're outrage for no reason. It's not outrage for the sake of outrage. I think this one kind of makes sense. I think there are some bad things in Barstool's history, and yes, people and organizations can change and evolve, but at the same time, I don't know that they have.
Yeah. And what's weird is that there are other good examples of trying to capture younger audience. And I know this isn't the same audience, but do you remember back in January when the NFL simulcasted their playoff games on Nickelodeon?
Yeah, exactly. And that's obviously, like you said, it's not really close to the same thing in terms of demographic. But that's an outside the box idea. That's kind of relatively harmless and good and I don't know. I don't know. I can see them going with the Barstool thing. I can see them actually trying it for a year or two. But ultimately, I do think it's a bad idea and it's a mistake, and it won't be a relationship that lasts very long if they do pull the trigger.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I honestly think that there are more creative ways to get the 18 to 49 demo. Hey, how about hiring some younger color commentators? How about hiring some, some new analysts and whatnot? Some people that the young people can relate to. There are ways to do this with your current contracts. I just feel like kind of batting and punching down to a organization like Barstool can actually hurt them in the long run just because of the baggage that comes with Barstool. And as you mentioned, the skeletons in the closet.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not to say if you listen to Barstool, you're an idiot and there's no merit to anything they've ever done, like you said. But I just don't know if they're the type of thing that a major league sport should get into bed with at that level. You know what I mean? I don't know. Personally, I don't know if I do that.
Yep. So speaking of getting into bed, Lionel Messi has apparently agreed to a deal with PSG Paris Saint-Germain with a free transfer. So he will be Lionel Messi will be taking his game to Paris.
I'm glad that's where you went with the getting into bed comment, Boris. But yeah, man. So this is interesting, of course. This is pretty much all you. You are far more of a football man than I. So please tell us, the ramifications. How much of a factor is Messi going to be? Is he still at the top of his game? Is PSG just going to absolutely romp for the next couple of years? What are we looking at here?
Right. So here's the thing. PSG, they've been putting a lot of money into their team. A few years ago, they were able to snag Neymar Jr., famous Brazilian star. They've also recently added Mbappe. Now with Messi, that's going to be a very scary team. But here's the thing about this. If you take a look at PSG, they're in the French league. And yes, they play in the Champions League, but they don't do well in the Champions League. And the reason, in my opinion, and this is all my opinion, you can crap on me if you want, is because they're only in the French league. The competition in the French league isn't the highest. Yeah, they don't always win the championship, but in the Champions League, when they're facing the hottest teams, the best of the best in Europe, they still can't win because the competition level isn't there on a regular basis. And now when you take a look at Neymar Jr. over the past few international tournaments, Neymar Jr. has not played that well for Brazil. So I see Lionel Messi actually from an international level, his quality starting to go down. So I am happy that he was able to win his first international cup this past summer, because I honestly think that he won't be as good because the daily competition he sees won't be as good. So in the grand scheme of things, I think this is going to hurt his career a little bit more than we think.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Plus, he is getting older, right? But yeah, it is worth noting that, like, as a super casual soccer fan who only knows like FIFA and the few highlights you see on the internet and stuff, those three players that you named, Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, are right now probably three of the four most famous soccer players in the
100%.
world, other than Cristiano Ronaldo, right?
Yep,
so
100%.
That's huge. So the talent level is such that should they, I understand what you're saying about competition and being battle tested, Boris, of course, but should they not, just on talent alone, by adding Messi to those two guys, should they not compete with anyone, anywhere, anytime?
You would think so. I believe that this might be the missing piece of the puzzle for the Champions League and PSG. But I don't know. I just honestly feel like if you're going to be facing these European teams every fortnight, from September to December, and then once a month after that until May, you're just not going to get the daily affirmations that you need in order to compete at that level constantly. Whereas a Manchester United, Manchester City, they're facing Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, etc., etc., etc.
Right. Totally feel you on that point. Makes a lot of sense. I'm wondering, again, this is a super casual fan perspective. It's the FIFA playing perspective. Like you add 99, 99, 99 overall, and then you just do skill moves and you win game 7-0. You know what I mean? And that could be the outcome here, perhaps. That's what the casual fan myself is thinking.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, this is my hot take. I told you I had a very hot take about this, but I look at Neymar Jr., and I'm not saying that he's not as good internationally. It's just, how many cups have Brazil won in the past little while? Yeah, they made the finals and they lost against Messi and Argentina of the Copa America, but they didn't win, right? So now you have two players from PSG at that level. So, I could be completely wrong. I could be having this hot take for the sake of having a hot take, but that's, just my opinion.
Oh man, hey, you know the football sport more than I, and it's definitely very interesting. We'll keep an eye on it. It's going to be crazy to see. You know what I feel for? I feel really bad for TSN because they just bought La Liga, right?
Yes.
Where Messi used to play.
Yep.
And they're airing these games for the first time, and now there's no Messi on Barcelona.
Yep. And no Ronaldo. Well, he might come back to the La Liga. Chances are that he is going to be leaving Juventus. So who knows when the next time we get a Messi versus Ronaldo clash.
Interesting stuff.
Yep. All right. Let's move to...
Next, do you want to hit on the... Yeah, I was just going to say, buddy, let's wrap up our Olympics talk. Shout out again to DeGrasse, who's been the star for the Canadian males. And, of course, Penny Oleksiak absolutely crushed it for Canada, the most decorated Olympian in the history of Canada. Shout out.
Yep.
Amazing work. Making us proud.
Yep, 7 medals total for Penny, 6 for Andre DeGrasse. And you know what stat I love about Andre's 6 medals? He has 6 medals in 6 events.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that. That's really, really crazy. So like the 100, the 200, the relay. I wonder what else is on that list.
Probably the previous 100, 200 relay.
Oh, I understand. Okay, yeah, word.
Yeah, 6 total.
Anyway, man, yeah, Canada has been, Canada has been showing up, especially the women. Just absolutely, just incredible performances in the soccer team again.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Female. The Canadian women's national team won gold against a very good Swedish team. That was a very hard-fought game. A stat that to me is interesting, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's an interesting stat, is the fact that Canada won a gold medal without scoring in a non-penalty shot throughout the entire elimination round.
That is insane. I didn't realize that. That makes a lot. Yeah, if you look back, obviously that is correct. Yeah, and that was one of the craziest shootouts I've ever seen in any sport, man. That was some crazy stuff. Canada weathered the storm in extra time. Definitely felt like Sweden could have popped one in, especially late. They had a really, really good chance right at the end of the game. And Canada just won arguably the craziest shootout I've ever seen in my entire life. Just a wild one.
Yeah, the amount of times that both goalkeepers knew exactly where the ball was going to go was just unreal. But taking a look at Canada, 7 golds, 6 silver, 11 bronze, 24 total. The majority of these medals coming from the women, from the female program. Dude, so interesting, so interesting. Those bros who love talking against the women's sports. Interesting stuff right now that we need to kind of digest and think about, right? In terms of funding.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. It's crazy. I make videos for Operation Sports, and anytime I say like something about the WNBA in a 2K video, I get like 2 or 3 comments like, "Oh, why would you say it? Who cares about the WNBA?" Like laughing emoji. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, wow, grow up, man. Come, how small are you?
Yep.
Anyway,
exactly.
That's neither here nor there, Boris. Yeah, women showing up and showing out, making this nation proud. Penny Oleksiak killing it. The soccer team killing it. That's just like off the top of our heads. Many, many more. And yeah, man, it's definitely is a good time for women's athletics. There's hopefully a women's hockey league coming, a women's national hockey league coming. That's been disputed for years and years and years, but it finally seems like they're chipping away at the ice on that. And yeah, man.
Yeah.
WNBA is exploding in popularity, like considering.
Oh yeah. And you know what I love? I love the social accounts like The Gist, who really go out of their way to promote female sports. You can make so many arguments about funding and who gets the funding and the numbers and the ratings of stuff, but if no one knows certain things are on, no one's gonna watch it.
That's the point, man. Exactly. Like if they had equal opportunity with advertising and stuff, it would be a little bit different. Like at the end of the day, people want to watch success and they want to watch greatness. And if it can come from young athletes who have a chance to achieve more success and more greatness, that'll draw even more people in of younger age groups. And that's what the game is. And it doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are, what color you are, what gender you are or associate yourself as. All that matters is in sports, man, is performance and how exciting you are on the field or whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of excitement, speaking of Olympics, man, the American basketball team dodged a bullet. Kevin Durant led the U.S. men to the 4th consecutive Olympic basketball gold medal with an 87-82 win over France. Holy crap. I watched the game on Friday evening, and it was so close. It was a lot closer than even the score says.
Yeah, absolutely. And France is sick. And there's the world stage has gotten, like, the gap has closed, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of awesome teams out there.
Yep.
But yeah, Kevin Durant, man, best basketball player alive. I don't care what anybody says. I'll go you even one further, Boris, than best basketball player alive. I'll go you one further. Most God-gifted basketball player ever born to ever live on this earth. I'm not saying that he's the best ever. You'd probably give it to Jordan, even LeBron. Both of those guys were workaholics, and I'm not saying Kevin Durant isn't, but I'm saying of all the players on earth, he was touched by God the most. He is built and created to be a basketball player. Kevin Durant is a marvel.
So you can send all hate mail to BAM or media at BAMSportsEntertainment.com. That's media at BAMSportsEntertainment.com.
Most gifted player of all time. I'm a Kevin Durant fanboy.
Yep, I love it. But, honestly, the U.S. dodged the bullet. But I'm almost at the point. It's kind of like Canada and hockey. I'm a fan for many reasons when Canada loses. You have to understand, the only reason I give a crap about the World Juniors is because I want Canada to lose so badly.
I know a couple of your types around. I have friends who are the same. But yeah, man, I understand. Everyone loves an underdog.
Let me get to my point. Let me get to my point. My point being, it just goes to show you that the competition is getting better against Canada, even with the U.S., right? Let's extrapolate this and talk about basketball. The fact that the U.S. has already won 4 consecutive, and they've actually sweated a bit with this one, what a story it would have been if they had bookended the tournament with 2 losses against France, right? But the fact that the U.S. is struggling on the international level just goes to show you that, as you said, the gap is closing between the U.S. and other teams. Now, let's remember when we were children, Matt, the dream team, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I think the Dream Team would still win gold, but they wouldn't have such the easy ride that they did back then.
No, they would still romp their way to gold. Yeah, there's like 10 Hall of Famers on that team. But man, like you said, like it wouldn't be like romp is strong. They would win gold, but yeah, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be, I don't know who Angola is, but Angola's in trouble. It wouldn't be that anymore. You know what I mean? We know who these teams are now.
Yep. So that was my point there. It's just like, we'll see at the end of the day what happens at the international level. Here's a funny one. The IOC might be removing weightlifting from the next Olympics. Do you know why?
Because it's just an excuse to do steroids and juice?
Bingo.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, actually, man. I can completely see that.
Yeah, the IOC has basically said, no mas, we cannot control the doping. The doping is actually getting so good that it's getting past the testing. So it kind of sucks, right? Like, the few are literally ruining the sport.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the few or it's everyone who's been to the Olympics in the last 60 years. True. I actually don't know, you know what I mean? But that's kind of how it seems. I can understand, though. Yeah, the few have ruined it for the ones who actually do want to compete cleanly in that sport. Yep. Yeah, man, it really sucks. But it does make sense. Like, honestly, like every year since like the 60s, there's been like noted cases of doping in weightlifting in the Olympics.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see what happens there. Anything else you want to talk about before we move to the wrestling portion?
We should talk about, just quickly, we should talk about Ohtani and the Jays and how amazing Shohei Ohtani looks when you see him play your team. You watch him play 3 games, but at the same time, Jays, baby, staying hot.
Yep, the Jays are super hot. They had a hell of a home swing, a home stand, as they call them in the sports lingo. The Jays are super hot right now. They're 1 game behind Boston. I love watching the Boston media sweat and give shit to their team right now.
Oh, man, Boston will turn on a team and a player real fast, eh?
Yep, but it's insane. Yeah. Sometimes I wish Toronto was a little bit more like that. Outside of the Leafs, I feel like
I was just gonna say, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like outside of the Leafs, I feel like we're a little too harsh on the Leafs.
There you go, man.
On an individual level.
Maybe. Go ahead. Yeah, I was gonna say we maybe coddle the Raptors. We love the Raptors. We hold them close to our hearts. I think maybe we coddle them a little bit in our fan base. Messi can do no wrong. We always trust the Raptors. We traded DeMar. Frig him. Here's your Uber to the airport. Bye, DeMar. We love Kawhi now. You know what I mean? But yeah, the Leafs, bro. You're gonna say the Toronto media is nice. You pay attention to 5 minutes of Leafs talk.
Yeah.
The Toronto media hates the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yep. Despises them with all of their heart. Everyone who works for it.
Yep. But yeah, so the Jays, going back to Jays TLK, so the Jays are super hot right now. They're making this run, but the pitching still worries me big time. The pitching, you just don't know what pitcher is going to show up, and the worst thing is and by that is like, a Stripling might be amazing one day, horrible the next. Even Ryu's been pretty good. But then, the one thing I want to avoid is Dolis at all costs.
Oh my God, yeah, he is, yeah. He's the human heart attack, Rafael Dolis. He definitely is not. My cousin texted me this the other day. It makes a lot of sense. I would love to see what his clean inning percentage is. I bet it's not good at all. He gets rocked almost every time you watch him.
Yep. So Bo Bichette, hopefully he comes back. I didn't notice whether he's on the starting lineup tonight. Tonight being Wednesday night, but he's missed a couple games because of a day-to-day injury.
Yeah, that's true. I was looking for the Jays, but they're playing Anaheim, of course. Yeah, it's just a late game. But yeah, man, it's definitely like bright future ahead, and I think this could still be a playoff season. Barrios, we need him. And yeah, we need Ryu. It's like Ryu's a hit and miss guy, though, just by the nature of how he pitches. Like sometimes it's just not, you know what I mean? He's a guy who paints the corners and uses his stuff and his guile and his moxie, and sometimes it's just not going to work out. He's a number 2 or a number 3. He's not an ace. Hopefully Barrios is that ace.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And what I really enjoy about Barrios is that he seems, and we talked about this about a couple players last week when we were talking about the Raptors, and that's that he seems like he legitimately wants to play for Toronto.
Big time, absolutely. And you love that. You need that in the city because a lot of people don't. God bless him. Kawhi, obviously, the prime example. He didn't, and he frigged off at the first chance he could have. So
yeah. Exactly. Unfortunately. But, you also have to understand the nature on how he is, right? So speaking of people wanting to legitimately play for Toronto, we brought up this man last week and saying that he probably won't want to be around. And boy, oh boy, did he cause a stir. And that is the guard, Goran Dragic. Whoopsie.
I actually feel bad for Goran because, it came like it was a lost in translation situation where he said something to a reporter in his native language, and then the translation came across way more harsh than he meant it to. When he said he didn't want to play in Toronto, he had higher inspirations or higher expectations. I forget exactly what it was.
He wanted to play for a contender, basically. Let's take a look at his personal situation here. He's playing with the Heat. The Heat are getting hotter and hotter every season, and then he gets traded to the Raptors, who are in a rebuild, whether it be a soft or hard rebuild, right? That hurts you in the gonads a little bit.
Oh, 1,000,000%. And that's all he was saying. All he was saying was that he wanted to be on a title contender. He wanted to play for a title. Yep. But it came out that, unfortunately, how it came out was, I don't want to play in Toronto. I want a higher basketball experience kind of thing. That's how it read to the reactionary fan. You know what I mean? So when you're scrolling through on Twitter and you say, Goran Dragic wants a higher basketball experience, you're like, fuck this guy, you know what I mean? But he's willing to come to Toronto. He's actually willing to play here, and I think we should give him a chance. Hopefully he plays well, and then you trade him at the deadline.
But again, this is the Toronto media being the Toronto media. This is what they do.
Yeah, well, I think this is more the Toronto fan than the Toronto media, although I'm sure there are people out there who are blowing this up. I'm sure there were, but I do think that once it kind of came, once Goran apologized and he was kind of like, no, I was lost in translation, and I'm willing to play in Toronto and play hard, and it's a great city. I think that was enough, for the rational person. I think that should be enough,
Yep. Quick question before we move to wrestling. Pascal Siakam, will he be traded?
I think so, because I think there's a market. It's not that the Raptors don't want him. I think someone's going to pay a lot of assets, and they're going to get a good package. They're going to get an offer they can't refuse, Boris. I don't think they want to move him, but I do think they're going to get a nice package, and they're going to do it ultimately, yeah.
All right, awesome. So I think we're going to end the sports chatter there. We are going to move on to the wrestling chatter. So if you're still listening, thank you. Welcome to the wrestling portion of B.A.M Sports Entertainment. So the reason why we talked more sports today than usual is because we wanted to talk about NWA Power. But they had an issue with airing the show on Tuesday night on Fight TV. So for unknown reasons, the show just didn't air. Both companies kind of put out a statement saying that there were technical difficulties and they would air this evening at 6 p.m. So it's regular time slot. And at the end of the day, we just didn't have time to watch that. So our wrestling agenda is a little lighter than usual, but Matt was able to fill it up with a couple stuff, and we're also going to be talking about AAA, because the AAA Mania is this weekend, so we have our pick contest, so we're going to be having a little fun with that. We're going to be talking about some ROH, and we're going to be talking about some NWA in general, because Matt has been furiously watching a lot of NWA. So furiously is right. Yes. Before we get started, let's talk about tonight's Dynamite. Matthew, what did you think of the show?
All right, buddy. Yeah, I thought it was. I was surprised at some of the negative reaction I saw. I saw people saying like, "Oh, it felt like WWE Raw Legends Night." Like, why is Matt Hardy and Big Show getting all the love? Which I obviously, as you can tell by my insulting tone, I disagree with. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't see that at all. I saw a fun show. The crowd reacted to everything. If they were doing this every week, it would be an issue. But it was the first time we've seen Big Show in months. Honestly, the biggest problems I had with that show were the main event. I thought it was a pretty bad match, the worst match on the card. And Tony Schiavone's kid is terrible at selling. Terrible. Yeah. Tony Schiavone himself was pretty bad as well. But other than that, I thought it was a really strong show, and I thought the opening match was a low-end match of the year contender. I gave it 4.25 V-triggers for a 85% disgusting knee bomb percentage.
Yeah, nepotism elite wrestling needs to cut it back sometimes. That's my one thing about AEW.
What do you mean?
Nepotism elite wrestling with Shivani's kid. Why did they why? They could have done so many other things.
Well, I think they were kind of going for like that David Flair, that Owen Hart beat up the younger brother, beat up the young family member storyline.
It would have had the exact same effect if it was Shivani. They don't have to like hurt him or make him sell or anything, but they could have been threatening him, and Paul White could have shown up. It didn't have to be his kid.
I disagree. I think putting his kid in there, obviously, it makes it more dramatic. I agree that it didn't have to be his kid.
It makes me care less about these kids when people like Arn Anderson's kid, Taz's kid, his Shivani's kid, like nepotism elite wrestling needs to take a step back sometimes.
None of those people have done anything, though. Brock Anderson had one match, and that's it.
Why is he on the card and not someone like Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, or anyone else under contract?
Yeah, it's a fair point. It's a fair point, I guess. I don't know. It didn't bother me at all, but I feel you on that. Anyway, I thought Dynamite was really good.
I'm being a little harsh. Show was overall good, but that's the one thing, and it's like it's a real sticking point with me that's constantly making me say, ugh. Anyways.
Fair enough, man. I thought that Dynamite was good, and we will be hearing from that opening match in our top 121 of 2021, whenever that comes out. Probably New Year's Eve.
Yeah, so we're going to cap it off on that because tomorrow, Joe and I'm going to be an old fuck. I'm going to be filling in for Dan because, as Jason Agnew said, it's the summer of Boris. So, I will be filling in for Dan on the Old Fucks All Elite Weekly on the SNME Radio patron feed.
The summer of Boris. Nice. I'm into it.
Yep. All right. So let's talk some Ring of Honor. So we are on week 2 of the Women's Championship Tournament, and we are about 3 weeks post. This is the 4th show post pay-per-view, and we have finally seen the new champion Bandito show up and do something. So we'll talk about this in the very end. So let's talk about the show overall. There were 3 matches on the show. The first match was Quinn McKay versus Mandy Leon. The second match was Marty Bell versus Trish Adora. And the third match was Ray Oris and Bandito versus Violence Unlimited members Brody King and Chris Dickinson. All right, so let's start with the Quinn McKay versus Mandy Leon match. Honestly, Quinn McKay is such an adorable character. How can she not get over? She's still learning how to wrestle. Her wrestling is not a 10 out of 10. She's good, but, it's not a 10 out of 10. But just everything she does is just so pure and humble. I absolutely love and adore her. And who better to have her feud with than the Allure?
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm very glad to hear that. Quinn McKay is a great interviewer, and it's like you said, yeah, she's not going to be a 10 out of 10 yet, but I'm glad that she's coming across well. I have yet to see her wrestle. I did not see this Ring of Honor episode, but that's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear it. And I'm just surprised at the result of this match, as I'm sure you'll know.
Of course I will. So just like last week, we get video packages hyping up every women's match because oftentimes these women matches have people that we don't know. So, what better way to introduce us, let us care about these matches than having a quick video package. So McKay mentioned that per Maria Kanellis' orders, Mandy Leon and her partner Angelina Love cannot accompany each other down the ring together. Mandy Leon said that she's upset that McKay has received another opportunity in the Women's Championship Tournament, but she ultimately blames Maria Kanellis. She thinks that it's disrespectful that a founding member of the ROH Women's Division is forced to face McKay over and over. So this match, actually, I love the beginning of this match. Before the ring even even sounded. Quinn McKay went for a spear onto Leon and started punching her face in. It was awesome. But this was your typical veteran versus rookie, where Mandy Leon was getting a little too cocky throughout the match, and Quinn McKay was able to capitalize on a mistake. So your winner at 7 minutes 12 seconds via pinfall was Quinn McKay. Now Quinn McKay is going to be moving to the quarterfinals of the Women's Championship Tournament, and she is going to face the prodigy Roxy.
Nice. So that's definitely a loss for Quinn McKay. But I'm glad she got a first-round win, proving herself worthy of being in the ROH women's division. That's dope. Good for her.
At the very least, I like the fact that she finally beat one of the members of the Allure.
Yeah, true, right? Yeah, definitely. Scale that mountain. Get back at the bullies, Boris.
Yep. And after the match, dude, this is what I mean about, just so humble and adorable. So after the match, McKay was celebrating. She jumped the railing, ran to the announce team, and hugged everyone as the bracket updated itself. So that was a really nice little moment there. So the second match was Marty Bell versus Trish Adora. These two have previously fought before, with Bell getting the win. This match was actually really good. But the one thing I do have to say is that the theme of one of the wrestlers getting too cocky, the other one capitalizing, seems to be a rampant theme on the booking of this tournament. So Trish Adora won when she locked Bell in a camel mutilation.
Oh, the camel mutilation?
Yep.
Is that like a bridging camel clutch? How does that even work?
Yep, it's a bridging camel clutch. Daniel Bryan uses it quite a bit.
Well, Daniel Bryan uses the cattle mutilation, which is like the arm thing, right?
Yeah. But it's the kind of like a bridged camel clutch. It's kind of cool.
Okay. I can picture it now. Interesting. Yep. All right. Well, dope. There you go.
So this match was really good. By the way, the Quinn McKay versus Mandy Leon match, just for the sweet, adorable Quinn McKay, I'm going to give it 3 handshakes out of 5. The Trish Adora Marty Bell match, I'm going to give it 2.5 handshakes out of 5. And then it's time for the main event, Ray Horace and Bandito versus Violence Unlimited. So this match was just 4 brutal guys going at it, with Ray Horace and Bandito being a much smaller luchadors. Really well done, really fast paced. It was a lot of fun. Ray Horace and Bandito eventually won at 10 minutes 49 seconds via pinfall. This is the match of the week for ROH TV. So if there's anything you're going to watch, take 11 minutes and watch this match. So essentially, Bandito was able to perform the 21 plex as Dickinson was distracted by Oris.
Yeah, I saw one spot on Twitter where he press slammed one of them out of the ring. Bandito did. So not only is he an incredible luchador, he's also stronger than Ox as well. That's craziness, man. Bandito is super duper underrated. Yep. Very, very underrated. That man might be, other than Ray Phoenix, might be the best luchador alive.
Yep. So overall, it was a very good show. It was kind of fun. This main event, I would give 3.5 handshakes out of 5. It was 11 minutes. How you can't rate an 11-minute match too high, which is the issue with ROH TV overall. But the hour goes by fast, even though they're still suffering immensely by not having fans during the TV tapings.
Yeah, big time, absolutely. But NXT UK, Impact still suffering from these problems as well. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But yeah, no doubt that it's true. They are suffering big time.
Yep. All right, so talk some NWA.
Yeah, let's take a breath here. I'm gonna get a water, and then let's talk some NWA Championship Series, the good and the far more bad and ugly. All right, man. So the NWA Championship Series on paper, kind of an interesting idea. So the idea is there are 4 captains. They're all the champions currently of NWA. So one half of the tag team champions, Aaron Stevens, the former Damian Sandow, Camille, the NWA Women's Champion, Nick Aldis, the NWA World Champion, and at the time that this started, the Pope, who was then the NWA television champion. So they all drafted teams. I was going to go through the draft, but honestly, so number 1 pick, Camille and Austin Idol pick Thomas Latimer. Number 2 pick, Aaron Stevens and Taryn Terrell pick Tyrus. Number 2 overall now in the entire NWA company. And this is where they have lost me forever on the draft portion of this. But I do like the idea of like a draft of like a captain team. You know what I mean? So sports in your wrestling, Boris, we always talk about it. It's on paper, it's a good idea.
On paper. The issue is the execution oftentimes. Anytime they have contract signings, we know how it's going to go. Yeah, they're trying to change things up a little bit. Press conferences, we know how it's going to go. Sports stuff in wrestling is always very interesting, like rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. If they can pull it off, that's the big thing. It's pretty complicated to have all these juggling balls and actually get them to work out. So a big issue with this was that they didn't even tell us the rules for the competition during the actual draft episode. Obviously, that's a huge thing. You need to establish what it is in a sentence and establish the rules, and you need to make the draft exciting. They did none of those things. They just kind of told you there's 4 teams. Each of these captains are with a legend randomly, and now they're going to draft guys, and then they drafted guys. So, yeah, it was really weird. So here are the actual rules. So it's a 2v2. It's like a tournament. It's not a round robin like the G1. It's a head-to-head tournament. So one team will play one team, the other team will play the other team, and the 2 winners will move on to the finals. Pins, and so it's a series of singles matches. Pins and submissions are worth 5 points. A DQ is worth 3 points, and a draw is worth 2 points each. If both teams are tied at the end of all this, then the tiebreaker is whatever team got their wins in the least amount of time. So it's important to win quickly. Also, the point of all of this is the winning team, and this is further complicating things. This is the actual stip. The winning team gets the captain of the team gets protection from his team members for future title shots for a year. So if Nick Aldis, if his team wins and Trevor Murdoch is on Nick Aldis's team, Trevor Murdoch cannot challenge for Nick Aldis's world title. Boris, you're falling asleep, and I understand. Okay, go ahead.
Hold on. So if Nick Aldis's team wins, his team members can't challenge him for the title.
Right? So
what
why
motivation would I have to win for my captain, captain?
So, well, this is the thing. So for everyone else on the team, they get a free title shot at any other champion, right? So if you're technically like on the Pope's team or on Camille's team or on the tag team champion team, it makes sense because you'd want to challenge for the world title. Everyone's going to want to challenge for the world title. But if you're on the world champion's team, it would make absolutely no sense to try at all in this concept, at all, for any reason. Now, Nick Aldis did do the only storyline thing you could possibly do, which is he said, if you guys try for me, I'll give you all title shots anyway.
Yeah.
But that's just dumb.
From
that's
the
just
rules,
him saying, like,
here's the thing.
I don't care about your stipulation.
They found a loophole for from an angle point of view, but from a rules point of view, it's pretty stupid.
Pretty stupid. And again, this is after they didn't tell us exactly the rules. That we got the rules in the second episode when the matches were about to start. They didn't really make the draft exciting at all. And if you really think about it, none of these rules make sense anyway. Great. Yeah. Okay, so we're off to a rough start. So there's a series of bad matches. The first episode, 2-star match, Marche Rocket versus Tom Latimer. Tom Latimer wins. Genocide got a win over Sky Blue. Another 2-star match. JTG beat Mims. That was actually pretty decent. JTG's finishing move these days is a running Razor's Edge into a neck breaker, and Mims is a huge guy. JTG, we've said it the last couple times you've seen him. He's on that Vince McMahon diet, buddy. He wants to get re-signed. He's looking thick and huge.
Yep, but he's over 30, so he can't go to NXT.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. But he hit this move. He didn't hit it clean, but he hit a Razor's Edge into a running neck breaker on this huge guy. It was really, really good. So that was 2.5 stars, I would say, probably on that one. And Then the main event of that first show, Fred Rosser versus Trevor Murdoch. It was basically a squash. Trevor Murdoch beat the shit out of Fred Rosser and tapped him out in 5 minutes with the Rings of Saturn. Honestly, though, pretty good. And you put over Trevor Murdoch, who is still like the top contender. So that first episode was pretty solid. And then this thing fell off the rails in the second episode.
Love it.
Fell off the rails. So the first thing they say, Boris, is that the alternates, so everyone has a team that they drafted, which I didn't get through because the draft was not exciting enough to recap. At the end of the draft, the people who didn't get drafted out of the pool were all assigned as alternates. So when you hear the term alternate, you think least important person, right?
Yep.
So these alternates had a fatal four-way match, which was worth a 10-point swing. So the winner of the fatal four-way match would get 7 points, and the loser of the fall would get -3 points. Just to further complicate a super complicated system here. Okay, so we got to the point right before the fatal four-way. We'll get there quickly. Kenzie Page versus Lady Frost. They had a pretty average match. Lady Frost beat the crap out of Kenzie Page, pulled her off the mat a couple times, and then Kenzie Page immediately rolled her up. It was average pro wrestling fare. I gave it 2.5. Then we saw a time limit draw between Crimson and the Masked Man. Oh man, Melina on commentary. The commentators and Melina literally forgot whose team that Melina was on. They forgot which of these two guys was actually hers. They were making jokes about the Masked Man and who was under the mask and if she knew. She didn't pick the Masked Man. She picked Crimson. But nobody on commentary even knew or cared to pay attention. And like 4 minutes into it, they were like, oh, you actually picked Crimson. Ha ha ha, I was just testing you. But it was just very obvious that everyone in this was lost. It was a 10-minute time limit draw between Crimson and some goof in a mask. The goof in the mask worked hard, actually. But this was a pretty big fail. Commentary absolutely failed on it. And after this, we were set up such that Team Pope was 10 points ahead of Team Aldis. So going into the fatal four-way match, it was obviously clear what would happen.
Yeah.
And it did. So the fatal four-way match was it was Saul Renaro versus Jordan Clearwater versus Colby Carino versus Jeremiah Plunkett. Now, of all of these shows, of all of this nonsense, Colby Carino is the one guy who stood out. He's the one guy who I want to see more of in NWA right now, above anybody else. So Colby Carino was a good heel in this match, but it was pretty much below the Mendoza line in terms of a fatal four-way. It went 6 minutes. So then we had Kratos versus Tyrus.
Fatal four-way that lasted 6 minutes.
Went 6 minutes, and there wasn't a ton of high spots or anything. I believe it was won by Jeremiah Plunkett.
All right.
Over Colby Carino. And then this show is already flying off the rails with that Melina commentary in this 6 minute fatal four-way match. Then we had Kratos versus Tyrus. Boris, other than Fiend-related shenanigans, other than like dolls winking and like black goop and zombies, this might be the worst match of the year. In terms of a straight one-on-one wrestling match, high-end worst match of the year candidate. Just Brodus Clay, slow, nothing happening, two big guys just running into each other. The finish of this match, Brodus Clay hits an Andre the Giant style like elbow drop, just like falling big man elbow. And the ref counts 1, and he counts 2, and there's kind of a hesitation where everyone's waiting for Crimson to kick out. He counts 3, and Crimson lifts his shoulder up, and everyone's confused. And then Tyrus lifts his hand up, and then the bell rings, and they just decide, fuck it, let's just get out of here. That's the finish. Sure, let's go home. It was only 7 minutes and 2 seconds, and when I saw the stopwatch on this, when the bell rang, I nearly shit my pants. I thought it was 15 minutes at least. This is the worst thing I've seen in wrestling in a very long time. Terrible, terrible wrestling match. And at this point, I'm just like, man, I'm pretty done with NWA Power.
Yeah, NWA Power is both good and bad sometimes at the same time.
Yeah, it's oftentimes at the same time. I will say it was pretty funny. One thing I wanted to note that I forgot. So Melina did commentary on that Crimson versus Masked Man match, totally forgetting what the steps were and making a mockery of this entire thing. You know who came out to do guest commentary for match number 3?
Whom?
The Smashing Pumpkin himself, Billy Corgan.
Oh, God.
He was having no more of these shenanigans. He was like, I'm going to show you what this tournament is all about, y'all. Anyway, so yeah, the main event of that second show was Jax Dane versus Slice Boogie. Went 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Jax Dane wins with a lariat. I like Slice Boogie. I said it was average wrestling match, 2.5 stars. And then I did not bother to watch the third one, but I have the results here. Trevor Murdoch beat Tom Latimer. Mims beat Jax Dane. Nick Aldis and Chris Adonis in the special exhibition beat Jeremiah Plunkett and Sean Davari. Nice. And in the final match, Colby Carino beat Saul Renaro one-on-one to win for Team Pope. So therefore, the following wrestlers are entitled to an NWA World title shot over the next year. These wrestlers are Trevor Murdoch, Jax Dane, Colby Carino, and the Mystery Man, and of course the Pope, along with, on the female side, Genocide and Velvet Sky. So again, Trevor Murdoch, Jax Dane, Colby Carino, the Mystery Man, the Pope, all get NWA World title shots over the next year, and Genocide and Velvet Sky get NWA World's Women title shot over the next year. Boris, this was a waste of my day. I want my day back.
Trevor Murdoch's winning the NWA title, isn't he?
Who?
Trevor Murdoch.
Oh, big time. And he might lose it to the Mystery Man, which could be Nick Aldis. You know what I mean? Maybe they do some kind of dumb stipulation like that. I feel like this Mystery Man, that's going to be an angle. That's a smoking gun if I've ever seen one. I'm very excited to see Colby Carino get a title shot.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
That's the only thing, like, there were nuggets in this that are good. I like sports presentation. I like the idea of a draft in wrestling, but they botched it pretty much at every turn. I'll watch it again next year if they try it, but I'm not watching Power again for 365 days. You know what I mean? I'm out for a little bit.
I love it. I love it. So I guess NWA talk is going to be left up to me.
Yeah, you need another co-host for that one. I am out. But yeah, again, there are slight nuggets of good in this cavalcade of shit. I do like the idea of Colby Carino challenging for the NWA World title. Trevor Murdoch is eventually going to win that title, and the Mystery Man, that could be a decent angle. And Velvet Sky getting the title shot too, buddy.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So that's some NWA talk. Again, we wanted to talk about NWA Power, but technical difficulties happened, so I wasn't able to watch that show. So we'll chat NWA Power. I will clearly only chat about NWA Power. So.
I'll watch the pay-per-views with you, but yeah, I just overdosed on NWA today. I was gonna sit down, I'm gonna watch me some NWA wrestling, and by the end of it, I was just like, no, never again. Never again.
Love it. All right, so let's move on to AAA, Triple Mania. Triple Mania is happening this weekend, this Saturday, to be exact. We need to figure out whether we're going to do a special show or cover it next week, but we'll talk offline.
Yeah, well, we have a busy episode of B.A.M. next week, but we could throw it into B.A.M. We could also maybe do a special. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how we feel Friday, Saturday, and we got to give Jason the heads up, anyways. But whatever, we'll talk about that. So
that's why we have B.A.M. anyway, homie. We can put it in here if we have to. But yes, we'll talk.
Yep. All right. So pick contest. Do you got the stuff in front of you? Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Yes, sir. So let's start with the Marvel Comics match. We're going to go through it, and it's like a little preview / pick contest. So we don't know the combatants of this, Boris. Do you have the card in front of you as well while we go through this?
Nope, I don't.
Can you load it up? Well, you don't have to. That's fine. But so it's a Marvel Comics match. Team Leyenda Americana versus Team Purpura. Team Terror Purpura. I don't understand what this Marvel Comics match is. I don't get this at all.
It's a showcase. It's a showcase.
Yeah.
You're gonna have like Brian Cage in a mask again, and like Leon Rush in a mask again, and people like that. It's just to put people behind a mask and their cross promotion with Marvel / Disney.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I don't understand was not meant to be taken literally. A rhetorical don't understand. But yeah, who do you think's going to win this one? It's Team Leyenda Americana versus Team Terror Purpura.
We're going to go with the first one, the Leyenda Americana.
Americana it is, buddy. All right, so next we have a trios tag team match. Pagano, Chessman, and Murder Clown versus Puma King, DMT, and Sam Adonis.
Murder Clown's team, 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you, buddy. Yeah, definitely Team Murder Clown. That's Pagano, Chessman, and Murder Clown.
Yeah,
All
Murder
right,
Clown
so,
is like one of the most over acts right now in AAA, so I'm going to be shocked if his team doesn't win.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, you follow Lucha far more than I, buddy. But I definitely I poke in for the pay-per-views, and yeah. So here's one. This is a chance for you to go off the board and myself. It's a fatal four-way. Drago versus Mamba versus Mr. Iguana versus to be announced.
I'm going to go with Mr. Iguana. No, yeah, I'm going to go with Mr. Iguana.
Mr. Iguana, he stood out to us last time we watched AAA. Mr. Iguana was a favorite of both of ours. He's awesome. I'm going to go with Mamba on this one. Just a shot in the dark. I think there's a good chance it could be TBA. You never know. But
Who do you think TBA is going to be?
I have absolutely no idea. There's a pretty good chance it's like a release, right? Or maybe it could be someone like someone maybe even coming over from New Japan, right? There's talk that there's a couple excursions coming. It could be a lot of people.
It can. That's the thing with AAA and even CMLL. You just never know. It could be Leo Rush for all that we know, right? Like could be Leon Ruff for all that we know.
Yeah, baby.
No, it's not 30 days yet.
I hope it's Leon Ruff. All right, here we go. So a triple threat tag team match for the AAA tag team titles. The Lucha Bros, Pentagon and Rey Fenix, versus El Hijo del Vikingo and Laredo Kid versus Taurus and to be announced. Boris.
Ooh, tag team belts. I'm gonna have to go. Oh, this one's a tough one. I know Lucha Bros have held these belts for a while. I'm gonna have to go with the Lucha Bros. I think they're gonna still be champs. I think that keeping the belts on AEW talent is gonna do wonders for AAA.
That's a really good call. At least they're out there. At least they're being seen every week. That's a good point, man. I think I'm going to go with El Hijo del Vikingo and Laredo Kid. I think El Hijo del Vikingo is like every time you see him, he's amazing. Like he's one of the most spectacular wrestlers.
As is Laredo Kid.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think that it might be time to give them a little push. So we're going to go with them there. All right, next match. It is Fabi Apache versus Diana Purrazzo.
Oof. This one's for the Impact belt, right? Or is this for the...
It's title for title. It's for the Rhea de Reyes AAA like women's title and for the Impact women's title.
Here's the thing. I'm going to say Diana Purrazzo because there's no way she's losing before Empower. There's no way she's losing before Impact's next set of taping. So, unfortunately, I have to go with our homegirl, Diana Purrazzo.
1,000,000% agree with the logic and the pick. I also select Diana Purrazzo there, buddy. Yeah, good call. Good call. All right, next up, Lucha de Apuestas, hair versus mask. Psycho Clown versus Rey Scorpion.
Psycho Clown. There's no way they're going to demask him.
Yeah, right. Is Psycho Clown not the son of Super Porky?
I believe... I forget which insert verb clown he is. I think you're right.
Okay.
And I know someone is screaming. I know someone is screaming, telling us the answer, but it honestly, so I find it so hard to keep up with the lineage of some of these wrestlers.
Yeah, I feel you. I think that's right, but I might be wrong. Like I said, like if you don't know, you're the lucha head of the two of us. If either of us are a lucha head, it's you. So, all right. And then the main event, Kenny Omega versus Andrade El Idolo for the AAA Mega Championship.
Oh man. I have to say Mr. Kenneth Omega.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, wasn't expecting that. You're going Kenny. I'm going Andrade. Easily picking Andrade.
Andrade.
Safely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Oh yeah. So we defer on 3 of those picks, Boris, which is interesting. There's still a lot of
there's
season
only
left.
Possibility of you getting 2 points because there's no way Kenny's losing.
Oh, oof.
And just because I said that, Kenny is 100% losing.
Yeah, getting cocky, buddy. We also said that we would pick Rampage, the first episode of Rampage as well, and we have 3 matches that we can choose.
All right, let's do it. I love how you're adding all these obstacles in front of me.
You know my game. Yeah, like, oh, here's 3 matches I can add. Oh, yeah, we should do the SummerSlam pre-show. Oh, can we do SummerSlam 2001? Can we pick that show? All right, okay, so seriously, the 3 matches on the inaugural Rampage card are, Boris.
Can I just give you? So okay, here's how we're gonna do this. Name the card, and I'll give you my 3 picks.
Okay, Miro versus Fuego del Sol.
So Miro versus Fuego del Sol is the first match.
Christian versus Kenny Omega. Britt Baker versus Red Velvet, not Velvet Sky. Red Velvet. Britt Baker versus Red Velvet.
All right, the 3 champions are winning.
Really? So you think
Here's the thing about the first match about Miro versus what's his face? Fuego. Yeah. It's a belt and contract match.
Yeah, exactly. So if Fuego del Sol wins, not only is he TNT champion, but he gets a contract, right?
Yeah. So this could be a thing. Give it to him for a couple weeks. He has the contract. Everyone's happy. The fans love him. The Dark and Elevation fans loved this kid. But, why would they have Miro lose?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. So here's where I defer with you quickly. We'll do this and get out of here. I think Christian's winning the Impact title. I think he's beating Kenny Omega, and he's going to win the Impact title on Rampage. I think Christian wins that match easily for sure, and then they won't do the Miro switch because they've already done a switch.
You really think that? Oh, man.
I think Kenny's losing twice back to back. I think he's losing on Rampage, and then he's losing at Triple Mania.
You, my friend, have zero faith in our Kenneth Omega.
The boy from Winnipeg. Zero faith is not true, but I think he's losing back to back, homie. And that's that. So right now in the pick contest, you are 34-19. I am 7 games back of you, 27-26. But I can make up 3 or 4 here, Boris, and we could be a little tighter going into SummerSlam.
This season has been unfair to me. Like we should have ended the season eons ago.
To you. Ended. I'm filing that complaint under protest. It's unfair to me that we had to review and pick NWA and I went 0 for 7. I'm down 7 points to you right now. It's the 0 for 7 burger I took on NWA. God damn it, I hate that. My rivalry with NWA is much like yours with Cody Rhodes. Irrational and stupid. But I'm sticking to it to the very end.
Irrational. Once again. I'm gonna randomly walk up to you, give you a middle finger, see how you feel about me after that.
I'm just messing with you, buddy.
I love it.
I love it. Messing with you.
As always.
I'm also messing with the NWA. I'll be back for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I love it. Anyways, it is time for us to go. Before you go, remember to visit our website, bamsportsentertainment.com. That's bamsportsentertainment.com. You can also email us. That's media@bamsportsentertainment.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, etc., etc., etc. Be sure to join the SNME radio group as well. Show some love there. And thank you for listening to BAM Sports and Entertainment. He's Matt. I'm Boris. Good night.
Yeah, shout out to SNME Radio. Shout out to Kevin O'Leary for the theme. Yeah.